Welcome to the yard, where how I see it and how you see it, they never have to be the same. This is a safe space where you can share how you see things. You're watching How I See It TV.
Check, check, check.
Welcome to the yard, where how I see it and how you see it, they never have to be the same. This is a safe space where you can share how you see things. You're watching How I See It TV.
Check, check, check. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome, everybody. I am your Jamaican Queen, Miss Y. You are tuned into How I See It TV. Please remember to like this video. Share the link to my channel if you feel like the content needs some more crowd. Subscribe if you have not done so as yet. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, now called X, at How I See It, and on TikTok at How I See It TV. Y'all, this is going to be real short and spicy. First on my list, Andy Cohen. I think that it's time for Andy Cohen to give up his seat. I really do. And if I was Wendy Williams, Wendy would say, clap if you think that it's time for Andy Cohen to create space for some up and coming individuals in the media and entertainment landscape to get the opportunity to host one of these reunions. I don't understand why Andy Cohen is the host for every single Housewives reunion. I mean, we're talking Salt Lake City, Potomac, Atlanta, Miami, New Jersey, New York when it comes back. We had Dubai, we have the OC, we now have Rhode Island, we have Beverly Hills. Then he's also the host for the Traders Reunion. He's the host for Love Island Reunion. He's the host for Married to Medicine Reunion. And I don't understand, why does Andy need to be the face for all these reunions? I get it, the Housewives, he is the executive producer of a lot of the Housewives franchise. This was his brainchild, you know, I think, Then he's also the host for Watch What Happens Live. He's the executive producer of that and creator of that. But I do think that when it comes to the Real Housewives of Potomac, the Real Housewives of Atlanta, even Married to Medicine, I think there are, how do I put this? There are some social and racial differences when it comes to those casts, and some nuances that Andy Cohen will never understand because he is not a black man. He's not a black person. He's not a person of color. And so I think when there are hard topics to be discussed on some of these shows, especially on Potomac, Atlanta, Married to Medicine, Andy Cohen is not the best person to host these reunions because he does not understand the nuances because he is not a person of color. I remember when they had the conversation about colorism on The Real Housewives of Potomac. Andy could not even moderate that conversation because, again, he does not understand. He does not understand the historical context, the social context. He doesn't understand. When it comes to Love Island, I feel like that's a younger audience. I don't see why Bravo, Peacock, NBC Universal, I don't see why they don't see it fitting. to have a younger host for those reunion. And this is not me going off of like ageism or anything like that. I'm just looking at this from a marketing standpoint. I feel like Bravo, NBC Universal, Peacock, they're oversaturated right now by the presence of Andy Cohen. Every time we see a reunion, we see Andy Cohen. And I don't think anything is wrong with having a little bit of change. Like he can keep hosting Beverly Hills and the OC, and I don't know about Miami, because again, Miami is a cast that is made up of um Hispanic Hispanic women, right? Women from Latin America, who majority of them are Spanish speakers, or in the case of Gertie and Kiki, they speak Creole, right? Again, there's some social differences there. Some of these women are from Cuba. We have, what's her face? I don't remember her name, Julie. I don't remember where she's from. But again, that cast is predominantly made up of Spanish speakers, and you have black people on that cast too. Okay, maybe Andy can keep host in Miami. I don't know. But I do think for the black franchises, the predominantly black housewives franchises and Married to Medicine, that Andy needs to take a step away and give somebody else the opportunity to host those reunions. Because I am tired of him in some of these reunions just seeming like he does not care to be there. That's what it feels like. A lot of the questions that need, not even the questions, there are a lot of questions that people, when Andy posts, oh, I'm getting ready for the Real Housewives of Atlanta reunion, send your questions, and you have thousands of people sending in strong questions that they don't even ask. They don't even ask the questions that people are submitting. The Potomac reunion could have been better had Andy and the producers been willing to ask some of the hard questions. Monique coming out there with her phone, putting it up, they can't air what she is showing the cast. There wasn't even much follow-up question to that moment for us, the audience, to have a better understanding of what was shown. And he has a habit of saying, okay, let's move on. No, you can't say let's move on at a point in time when it's getting juicy, at a point in time when we're going to get real answers. And then he makes it so obvious who his favorites are because he doesn't ask them the hard hitting questions. He gives them some softball questions that they get to dance and skate around. And then we, the audience, are left wondering, like, okay, that's really the question you chose to ask that person? Because when Ashley said, oh, we weren't as sensitive before in this group, I was like, I call BS. Because I remember in the book Not All Diamonds and Rose, or whatever the title was, that book about housewives that dropped during the Ponderosa, the author reveals, well, some of the producers revealed that when Candace took to social media and called Giselle's house a $900,000 tear down, she was upset. She called, all the producers called Andy Cohen and told them that they needed to tell Candace that she needs to stop and she needs to apologize. That's sensitive. Every time Candace would respond to them being mean spirited towards her and they didn't like her response, They would basically want to call her aggressive and nasty and violent, a rabid dog. Please recall, Ashley did call Candace in season 4 in a sit down with Giselle. Ashley referred to Candace as a rabid dog. However, Candace is the one that says violent, disgusting things. All of that sounds very sensitive, like people are sensitive to me. Hi, Misty. You said the Housewives franchises are dead. They are desperate, but people run to Bravo like it's the best place on earth. And I agree. But the thing is, a lot of people want to use reality TV as a stepping stone for other things, and Bravo is the highest paying network right now when it comes to reality stars. Like, let's be for real, and ain't nobody going over there on Love and Married Huntsville getting 70,000 or more for a season. I don't think any of the housewives are earning under, even first season housewives, I don't think they're earning under $50,000 for a season. I don't think you're going to any other network and getting that, you know? So I see why a lot of people are running to Bravo because they feel like Bravo is the savior. Like, if I'm out here and I'm not making much money and I can get on Real Housewives or I can get on Married to Medicine, I I can get on, any of these Bravo shows, then I can propel my career, I can get some visibility, I can start a business. I think people want to replicate what Candy Burris has done with Housewives, where she came on and she had all these businesses. Now she's on Broadway, she's been in movies, she's been on TV shows. Even Nene Leakes has done the same thing. But I don't see it working that well for other people as it did for Candy and Nene, you know? You said Candace didn't lie. I'm an interior decorator, and Giselle's house has the cheapest, tackiest decor I've ever seen. Oh my god. Oh my god. But seriously, Andy Cohen, I don't know. I'm so tired of him doing reunions. I want to see somebody else who is actually watching the season. I want to see somebody else who's actually watching the show get the opportunity to watching the show, watching what's happening on social media, looking at the questions that people are asking, thinking some of the same things that we, the audience, are thinking. Ask the questions so that we can get real answers. These reunions could be better if they were asking the good questions, and they're not. Now let me move on to Giselle. Now, I can't play the audio or the video from this clip, but this was the moment Giselle realized that she didn't have a package. Now, if y'all don't know, during all these reunions, each cast member, oh, before I get to Giselle, for Married to Medicine, I think that they need to well, maybe not a medical professional or somebody who is close to the medical field to do the reunions. Maybe that's too on the nose. I wish that Mariah had done what Andy Cohen did and not choose to be a cast member, and she had kept the power to do her own reunions. That's what I wished. I wish that Mariah had pitched the show, had said, listen, I want to be the Andy Cohen of the Married to Medicine franchise. This is my baby. I'm going to executive produce it and I'm going to host the reunions. That's what I wish Mariah had done. She actually knows these women. And I think that out of anybody that they could choose to do the reunions, Mariah would probably be the best person. That's what I believe. But it's a little too late. Maybe after season 1, Mariah should have taken a step back and said, you know what? This is my show. I don't want to be a cast member. I want to host the reunions. And then maybe season two and onwards would have gotten Mariah, the reunion host and executive producer of Married to Medicine. But it's a little too late. I don't think that's ever going to happen now. But that would have been nice to see. I don't think there's anybody else who'd be a perfect fit for the Married to Medicine reunion. So at this point, Andy Cohen will have to stay. But if I had a choice and somebody said, I want you to hire somebody right now to do the Married to Medicine reunions, I would be like, I got you, Mariah Huck. That would be my first pick. All right, to Giselle. Giselle found out during the reunion that she didn't have a package. Now, as I was saying, for those of you who don't know, during reunions, every cast member, they basically do a playback of the things that transpired in their individual storylines during the season. They play it back, and then the reunion host asks that person, about what they just viewed, and then then the rest of the cast, they get to chime in as well. Everybody else got a package, even Karen, even Monique, who was a friend of Jassy, too, a friend of. Everybody got a package but Giselle. And you know what? I love the look on her face when she realized that they didn't prepare a package for her, because girl, all you gave was mean spirit and mean girl energy the whole season, wanting to gang up on Stacy about Stacy's life, wanting to gang up on Angel about Angel's life. You gave nothing of a personal story. And so what did the producers do? They gave nothing for your package because you gave nothing, Giselle. And I was so happy to see that. And I'm hopeful that this is a sign of things to come, that Giselle will no longer be seen as the face of Real Housewives of Potomac. For the life of me, I don't see why she was ever considered the face of Real Housewives of Potomac. But it was so embarrassing that this is the 10th anniversary of the show. This show has been on air for a whole decade. And as they're wrapping up the celebration of you being an OG cast member, you've been there from season one, episode one, you didn't even have a package. They didn't even say, you know what? Giselle is an OG cast member. What we're going to do is we're going to do a package that covers some of what we feel are the best moments spanning her time on the show. They didn't even do that for you. And you got second chair. And she was gagged too when Andy Cohen told her that she didn't have the first chair. She was ready to sit in the first seat, child. Andy Cohen said, nope, Wendy's sitting there. So I hope that this was a case of giving her some humble pie. You may think you're that girl, but you're really not. You're not given anything. There's nothing here for us to show people at the end of the season that's worth a damn. And we want you to understand that if we can let go of a Nene Leakes who was given, if we can let go of a Nene Leakes who even during her worst season, the last two seasons on Real Housewives of Atlanta was Nene Leakes' worst seasons on that show. And I give her grace because she was dealing with a husband who had cancer. But if Bravo can say goodbye to Nene, who was the face of Real Housewives of Atlanta, who is still the face of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Nene and Atlanta 1-1. And if they can let go of her, Giselle, who are you that you think that you won't get the boot? Ashley too needs to understand that. That girl, you can go too. And so I hope that this was an opportunity for Giselle to understand, wait, this is actually my job. And these people are my employers. And they can do to me whatever they want within the context of, legalities and all. He said if Bravo didn't fire Giselle for falsely accusing her cast and its husband of inappropriate behavior. Well, that's what I'm saying though. I hope that this was a moment of them saying, girl, we can fire you. You're not doing your job on the show. You didn't give us any storylines. You didn't give us enough to give you a package at the end. Your second chair. And all she did the entire reunion was chime in with a few ad libs here and there. She didn't really even say much during the reunion. Will they fire her for next season? I doubt it. But I think this is like the writing on the wall. I think this is the writing on the wall. This is a heads up. This is a hey, you better come with your A game for season 11. That's what I think. I could be wrong, but that's what I think. Now, finally, on my docket is Monique Samuels. Her return was a flop. Obviously, she didn't just say yes to returning to Real Housewives of Potomac because she felt like it was time. And because she felt like she was healed, and you can't heal in isolation, and all the BS that she was spewing on the reunion stage. That's not why you returned. That's not why you finally said yes this time. You said yes this time because you don't have any jobs. Them essential oils aren't selling. You walked away from that marriage, no child support, no alimony. And I'm thinking you were looking in your accounts, trying to balance your account, and you were realizing that you're running out of money. And they called you at the right time and said, hey, would you be interested? And you jumped at the opportunity, Monique, because you understand that even if it's a little Bravo check, because remember, season 5, she called it a little check, okay? She understood that even if it's a little check, it's better than the nothing that she has right now. Because remember, she's no longer on the radio station and she got fired from that. She claimed that she walked away because of her children, blah, blah, blah. Maybe that's true. But I'm still going to run with the narrative that she was fired. She was fired from that. So whatever little bit of money she had left, it's probably run out or is running out. And that is why she hopped her tail back to Bravo. So she came on the show. They're giving her some tea, some lukewarm tea that Stacey was supposedly dating Chris Samuels. That lady went on one outing with that man, sat at a table where there were 20 other people, and somebody took a picture of her and Chris. So it seemed like it was a date. She has hung out with the man socially. They've had communications in the past. But the second Stacey decided that she was going back to her husband, to me, it seems that all conversation with Chris Samuels had ended. And that was clear because we saw Stacey show Monique during the season a text exchange between her and Chris Samuels, where Chris was, congratulating Stacey on a magazine cover that she had done with her daughter. Stacey did not respond. And what did Chris Samuels do? He sent a message back and said, you can at least say thank you. And Stacey still left him on bread. At the point in time that the Real Housewives of Potomac was being filmed, Stacey was already back with her husband. So in what world would anybody believe that while this woman is back with her husband, trying to rebuild her own family, she would still be on the phone discussing with Chris Samuels anything that Monique had going on while filming the show? In fact, the messages that Stacey showed Monique proved that Chris knew about things happening on the show even before Monique started filming with them. And so that's clear that wasn't because Stacy was communicating with him. Chris is still very much friends with Cookie. And Cookie is friends with Ashley, Kiana, Karen. So he could be getting this information from either of those sources. Ashley declared during the season that, oh, I ran into Chris and I asked him about Stacy. And Monique was shocked because Ashley didn't tell her that. So you come to the reunion, Monique, and you're putting up a phone playing a recording of one of your kids asking you who Stacy is. I suppose, I don't know, because the thing was bleeped out. But according to Ashley, that was basically the context of the video. And you made it seem like this woman was doing stuff to hurt you and your family, to hurt you and your kids. You came out on the reunion, Monique, and you said, oh, Chris sent me a cease and desist last night. And here goes Jesse. Is that because of Stacy? How about you be honest and say, no, not because of Stacy, because I've been doing several interviews badmouthing this man in the media. Monique sat on Angela Yee's podcast and said, Chris is a liar. Chris can't be trusted. He's manipulated. And she went on and on and on and on and on and on and on about how horrible this man is. So to think, right? Remember, when the Real Housewives reunions are being shot, there is like a press release that says, oh, Real Housewives of Potomac reunion is being shot tomorrow. So it didn't take anything for his lawyers. The man's money is long enough for his lawyers to send you a cease and desist. Like, oh, you're going to the reunion tomorrow? You've already been on a world tour of interviews talking badly about me. I'm not about to have you go on the reunion to talk bad about me there. So don't do it. And they sent you a cease and desist. That has nothing to do with Stacey. Girl, you got a whole book out here that's bad mouthing the man, a whole chapter that talks about how abusive he was in y'all's relationship. The storyline Monique wanted to run with was that it's all Stacey's fault. But now she posts, a lot of time has passed since the reunion was filmed, and after gaining more info since then, I don't believe Stacey had anything to do with any of that bull. I'll probably go live on IG at some point this week and give you all the entire story. I haven't watched the reunion episodes yet, so let me catch up and get back to you. But at least wanted to clear her name on all of it. Girl, girl, boo. Girl, boo. And it's so sad that Stacey had to sit there and be bombarded by that foolishness. It's so sad. The entire season, people have been on her case. And then you come and you play this recording of your child saying whatever the child said. And you decided that you were going to use that as a way to make Stacey the guilty party in ongoing issues that you have with your husband. The issues Monique and Chris are having, they have nothing to do with Stacey. According to Monique's interviews, Chris is a horrible co-parent. That has nothing to do with Stacey. And from where I'm standing, and I'm literally standing, I feel like Monique lied. I don't want to believe that she would really put her child up to saying things that are untrue, but you never know with liars. You never know with people who are manipulative. They're willing to do a lot of things that us normal thinking people would not believe. So even though I don't see it for Monique, I'm gonna sit around and wait to see this live that she's going to do and see what else transpired after the reunion to make her get to this point where she understands that Stacey is not the guilty party. And as Stacey said during the reunion, Monique needed to be a little bit more smarter when it comes to Chris. Check, check, check. A call is coming in. I hate when that happens. Check, check, check. Okay, I'm back. When calls come in, it just messes up StreamYard. You said, I love Monique. She came back because she needed a job, and there's nothing wrong with that. Her happiness was more important than money. I don't know. At this point, I think she has disposed of her happiness for the money. Because I stand firm on she didn't just come back because now she's in a happier place and all of that. I think she's gearing up for a fight with her ex-husband. She's made that very clear publicly. She's taking him back to court because she didn't get alimony, she didn't get child support. She said that she is the primary parent, so now she needs child support. You need money for lawyers. So, yeah, there's nothing wrong with wanting a job, but I think she's gearing up for a fight and she needs money for that. Season 5, it was a little check because she had the security of her marriage. She didn't have the radio station during season 5. I think she got that job like maybe a couple years after that. But I understand what you're saying. Um, I wanted her to be a little bit more honest. And I'll explain that more in another live. I think she was there kissing a lot of behinds that didn't need to be kissed. And that came across as just fake and phony for a check. But I'll get into that in another live. And I say Stacy lies, but I prefer the lies that Stacy tells. The lies Stacy tells are about her own life, about her own situation. It doesn't impact anybody else around her. If she said, my husband is going to travel, he can't come to this dinner because that man doesn't want to be around those people, I'm okay with that lie. I'm fine with it. Stacy said, no, I don't have a cannabis line. At the point in time during the reunion that Giselle was trying to out her business, I'm fine with that lie. I'm fine with that. What I'm not fine with are people who lie on other people's spouses, people who try to lie on other people's kids' paternities. Those lies are dangerous. Those lies have long lasting consequences. The little things that Stacey fibs about, I'm fine with in the context of a reality show. Stacey likes to keep people out of her business. It doesn't provide any harm to anybody and whatever anybody else has going on. And she fell for it. You said Monique never made Chris and Stacey an issue. The other ladies did. Because she fell for it. She fell for it hook, line, and sinker to the point where she brought a recording to the reunion. I wouldn't have even done that. Monique has been that more fan stand with it. I think so too, Miss Cece. I think she just like Ashley, she's reading the comments, she's seen what the world is saying. She's seen that nobody's buying that Stacey's talking to Chris, and now she's changing her tune. Just like Ashley, over the weekend on Sunday was at some event, and when the crowd started chanting, "Oh, we want Candace back, we want Candace back," and they were saying, "Oh, you know you want Candace back on the show." What did Ashley do? After saying, "Oh, Candace doesn't go here anymore," what did Ashley do? She changed her tune. "Yeah, I would love for Candace to come back." No, stand on what you said before. Candace doesn't go here anymore. And she need to stop talking about you. Now, when you're in front of a crowd that's clearly on Candace's side, now you have to change your tune. And I think that's what Monique is doing. It's not, people aren't buying this Stacy talking to Chris nonsense. And now she has to change her tune. She knew when she was playing that recording that she didn't have all the information. So why bring it to the reunion? if you if I feel like that recording didn't provide any kind of evidence of Stacy's wrongdoing, but as Miss D said, Monique was playing housewives, so she brought that little receipt. And now she's claiming I got more info. But what she should be doing is first apologizing to Stacey. I apologize for playing that recording at the reunion, making you look bad when I didn't even have all the information. That's the first thing you do. And then you say, I'm going to go live and clear the air some more. But anyways, y'all, I have to go. Thank you all for tuning in. And I will see y'all later for maybe another live stream or a pre-recorded video. Until then, walk good. Bye.